The crowd screamed. A wave of alien voices, sharp and loud, echoed through the great steel arena of Caver's Pit. It was a giant coliseum in deep space, orbiting a dead star. Every seat was filled creatures with claws, horns, tentacles, and glowing eyes sat shoulder to shoulder, waiting for one thing. Blood. At the center of the arena stood a giant cage, rusted, black and full of shadows. Its heavy gate faced a line of armored guards. These guards were not human. They were tall, with long red faces, black armor, and laser spears. Behind them stood the reason the crowd had gathered, one human. Just one. He was not large, not armored, not glowing. He wore a torn black shirt, dusty military pants, and old boots. His hands were chained, and his face had a bruise on the right cheek. But his eyes, they were calm, ice cold, focused. His name was Raylan Cross, Captain, Human Forces. And today, he would face death while thousands watched. The arena lights turned red. A horn blew like thunder. The floor of the cage began to rise. Metal groaned. Chains clanked. The crowd leaned forward. Above the arena, in a glass chamber, sat the Council of 9 alien rulers from 9 different species. Next to them sat the royal box, where the high-ranking nobles rested on golden chairs. In the center of this luxury box sat Princess Azal-Ara, daughter of the Venari Emperor. Her skin was silver blue, her eyes like twin stars. Her face showed no emotion, but she watched the human carefully. Her assistant leaned in. "Another primitive. Princess, this will be quick." She didn't reply. The announcer's voice thundered through the arena, translated in 100 languages. "Welcome to the pit of judgment, where courage ends, and bones speak last." The crowd screamed in. "Pleasure. Today, for your amusement, we present a creature from the small, irrelevant planet Earth." Boos and laughter filled the air. "His name is Raylan. He has no power, no weapons, no army. He is alone." A pause. "And now, let us see. What makes humans so stubborn?" The cage gate opened with a loud groan. Raylan stepped forward, slow, steady. His hands were no longer chained. The guards had removed them, thinking he'd need his arms to wave before he died. The crowd waited for fear. A whimper. A fall to the knees. But Raylan didn't give them that. He simply looked up at the alien crowd. His lips curled slightly. He smiled. The arena floor shifted. Walls folded down. From 3 steel doors, monsters came out, 3 of them. One from each side. Beast 1 had 6 legs, red skin, and a mouth full of burning acid. Beast 2 crawled on spider legs and had no eyes, only ears that sensed movement. Beast 3 was the size of a small tank with stone armor and a hammer-shaped tail. Announcer laughed. "Let's see how long this human can last." The monsters charged. Raylan ran. But not in fear. He didn't scream. He didn't beg. He didn't panic. He moved fast, thinking fast. He ducked behind a tall rock on the arena floor. Beast 1 slammed into the stone, spraying acid. Raylan rolled left, grabbed a sharp bone from a skeleton, and threw it toward Beast 2's sensitive ears. The creature shrieked and ran in circles, slamming into Beast 3. The crowd gasped. A few even laughed. Raylan was using the monsters against each other. X, a yell single quotes IRA leaned forward. Her assistant said, "He's only delaying the end." But she didn't speak. Her eyes were locked on the human's movements. He wasn't like the others. He was reading the field, like a chessboard. Beast 1 turned toward Raylan again. Acid dripped from its jaw. It charged. Raylan waited. Just before it reached him, he ran straight at it, slid under its legs, and jumped on its back. The beast thrashed. Raylan grabbed a loose metal pipe from the arena floor and drove it deep into the beast's neck. It screamed, fell, and twitched. One down. Beast 2 was still blinded from the earlier bone attack. Raylan moved slowly, using his shirt to muffle his footsteps. He crept up behind the creature and stabbed it in the soft underbelly with a broken spear he had picked up. Hissed and fell, twitching. 2 down. Beast 3 was angry. Its hammer tail slammed the ground again and again. Dust rose. Raylan circled it, grabbing acid from Beast 1's corpse. He smeared the acid on a rock and threw it hard at Beast 3's head. The acid burned the armored plates. Raylan climbed the arena wall, leaped onto the beast's back, and smashed the weakened armor with another pipe. Finally, with a loud scream, Beast 3 collapsed. All 3 monsters were dead. The human was alive. Silence. Then chaos. Half the crowd stood in shock. The other half screamed in awe. Cheers, curses, and arguments spread across the arena. How? What did he do? He's cheating. No, he's thinking. In the royal box, Zalera smiled for the first time. Raylan stood tall, breathing heavily, blood and dust on his face. He raised one hand and pointed it straight at the royal box, directly at the princess. Everyone went silent. Raylan mouthed the words, "You're next." The announcer stuttered. Human has survived the first trial. This is highly irregular." A dark figure stood and walked to the royal box. A tall alien with metal armor, eyes like coal, and skin like glass. High Commander Ralvok. He growled, "We must kill him now. He is dangerous." But Princess Alera raised her hand calmly. "No," she said. "Let him face the next challenge. I want to see more." Ralvok narrowed his eyes. "You're enjoying this primitive too?" "Much." Zalera didn't reply, but her eyes remained fixed on the human. That night, in a cold metal cell deep beneath the arena, Raylan sat with his back against the wall. His arms were cut, his ribs bruised, but his mind was sharp. A small crack opened in the wall. A tiny drone floated through. It projected a light on the wall, a message. "Why didn't you run? Why didn't you scream?" Raylan smiled. He used his blood to write on the wall beneath the message, "Because I'm not afraid of aliens." The drone buzzed, then left. Up in her chamber, Zalera read the reply and whispered to herself, "Then you are truly human." Elsewhere in the council tower, a group of alien nobles gathered in secret. "He must not survive the next trial," one hissed. "He embarrassed our blood games," said another. "I will." "Send an assassin tonight," said a third. All agreed. One human had made them look weak. One human had turned their crowd into fans. That could not be allowed. In the dark of night, a figure moved through the halls, silent, cold, carrying a thin blade made of ghost metal. Impossible to detect. The assassin reached the human cell. Door slid open. Raylan was lying on the floor. Still, silent. The assassin stepped forward. Then froze. A whisper. From behind, "You're late." Raylan dropped from the ceiling, wrapped a chain around the assassin's neck, and slammed him to the floor. They struggled for a moment. Then silence. Raylan stood over the unconscious body. He looked at the camera in the corner of the room. "Nice try," he said calmly. "Now send someone smarter." The next morning, the lights in Raylan's cell turned on with a sharp hum. He stood slowly, stretching his arms and checking the bruises on his ribs. The dead body of the assassin was gone. The walls had been cleaned, but the message had been sent. They tried to kill him in the dark. They failed. Raylan stared at the camera in the ceiling and smirked, still watching. "Princess?" In the royal chamber above the arena, Princess Zalera stood by the tall glass wall. She had not slept. Her silver blue eyes were locked on the arena floor far below. Behind her, High Commander Ralvok entered with heavy boots. His armor clicked. With every step, "He should be dead," the commander growled. Zalera didn't turn. "He's still breathing." Ralvok stepped closer. "He's dangerous. He insulted us." He turned the arena into a stage for himself. "The crowd is beginning to respect him. That cannot be allowed." "Then break him," she replied calmly. "But not with blades." "Break." His mind, Ralvok smiled, Trial 2 begins now. The arena lights turned white, clean, cold. The crowd returned, though not as loud as before. Some were curious. Some were angry. Others were hoping to see the human again. The announcer's voice echoed. The human has survived the trial of beasts. But can he survive the trial of obedience? The arena floor changed. The deadly traps were gone. No monsters, only a raised platform with 9 steps and a tall throne at the top. A noble alien, dressed in gold and jewels, sat on the throne. He was called Daruvan, a council elder. Behind him stood 5 guards, with sharp spears and glowing shields. Raylan entered through a gate on the far end. No chains, no weapons. His hands were behind his back, relaxed, but his eyes scanned everything. The announcer continued. Let the human prove his loyalty. Let him kneel before Lord Daruvan and swear his life to the council. If he does, he will be spared. Silence. But if he refuses, another silence. The meaning was clear. Death. The crowd watched closely. They wanted to see what the human would do. Raylan stepped forward, calm, slow. His boots echoed on the metal floor. He stopped at the base of the stairs. Lord Daruvan leaned forward. Kneel. Human, he said, his voice translated into English. Swear your obedience to the Galactic Council. Say the words, I am nothing. I belong to you. Say it, and you walk free. Raylan looked up the stairs. 9 steps, 9 lives lost to pride, maybe. He said nothing. Daruvan smiled. We give you mercy. Most species beg for it. Still, Raylan was silent. The crowd leaned forward. So did the guards. Then Raylan took 1 step up. The guards moved their hands to their weapons. Another step. Then another. 9 steps. He reached the top. Daruvan stood. He towered over Raylan, his arms wide. Well. Raylan looked into his eyes. And then he laughed. A cold, short laugh. Sharp like broken glass. The crowd gasped. He leaned closer and said, I'd rather die standing than live on my knees. And he turned his back. The room exploded with noise. Some aliens booed. Others cheered. One of the guards rushed forward. Spear ready. Raylan didn't hesitate. He spun, caught the spear shaft, twisted it, and broke the guard's arm in 1 clean motion. Another came. Raylan used the spear to block the energy blade and slammed the guard down with a knee to the face. The other 3 backed away. Daruvan was stunned. You dare touch my guards? Raylan walked up to him. You're not a king, he said. You're just a coward in shiny clothes. And then he tossed the spear at the floor and calmly walked down the steps. Above. Zalira watched with narrowed eyes. Her assistant whispered, he just insulted a council elder in front of half the galaxy. Yes, Zalira said softly, and didn't even break a sweat. Back in his cell, Raylan sat on the cold floor again. A small drone returned, flashing with a message. You had the chance to live. Why throw it away? Raylan chuckled. He wrote with his finger in the dust. I didn't come here to kneel. That night, 3 nobles met in secret once more. He's turning into a symbol. One hissed. The crowd is watching him, said another. We should make him suffer slowly. But High Commander Ralvok had a different idea. No, he sighed. Pain will not break this one, but words might. The next day, Raylan was taken to a large room. No chains. No weapons. The walls were covered in images, scenes of Earth, destroyed cities, burned flags, crying children. It was all fake. Made by alien tech. A voice said, your people are gone. Earth is dead. You are the last. Raylan looked at the images. Then at the camera. You think I'll believe this? The voice replied, believe it or not, you have no one. We are your only home now. Raylan stepped closer to the wall. Wrong, he said. He slammed his fist into the screen. The glass cracked. Blood dripped from his knuckles. I don't need a home. He whispered, I am my home. That night, Princess Zalira came to him. Not in person, but through the drone. This time, it showed her face. She stared at him. You confuse me, she said. Raylan smiled. Most people do. You should be dead. But I'm not. You rejected mercy. That wasn't mercy. That was control. They stared at each other. Then she asked, What do you want, human? Raylan replied, A chance. For what? To turn your whole world upside down. In the following days, something strange began to happen. In the market outside the arena, aliens whispered the human's name, Raylan, the Unbroken, the man who smiled at death. Small crowds began to gather near screens, watching replays of the first and second trials. Vendors sold small flags with Earth symbols. Even guards began to show curiosity. The galaxy had seen many warriors, but never one like this. Back in the arena command center, Ralvox slammed his fist on the table. He is corrupting our empire. We cannot allow this. A council member asked, Then what do you suggest? Ralvox growled. We destroy him in the next trial. Not with beasts, not with fire. He turned to the others, with something no human can resist. Later that night, Raylan heard his door open again, but this time, no assassin. Instead, a young alien girl entered, no older than 10 in human years. She looked scared, eyes wide, holding a tray with food. She set it down and stepped back. Raylan looked at the tray. A warm meal, meat, vegetables, clean water. He looked at the girl. She whispered, Don't fight tomorrow, please. Why? They say if you win again, they'll hurt others. Not just you. Raylan's jaw tightened. He knelt down. What's your name? Alira. He smiled gently. You're kind, Alira, and kind people are rare here. She looked confused. He picked up the tray and said, But if I give up now, I'll be the reason others stay slaves forever. She nodded slowly, then ran out. That night he didn't sleep. He sat in the dark, thinking of Earth, of war, of honor, and of the alien princess whose eyes didn't blink like the others. Next day, the announcement was made. Tomorrow, the final trial begins. If the human survives, he shall face a new challenger, one never before seen in the arena. In the royal box, Zalira listened carefully. Her father's voice echoed in her mind. If he continues, you will be the next test. She closed her eyes and prepared herself. Far below, in his cell, Raylan sharpened a metal piece against the wall. He was ready, but he had no idea what or who was waiting next. Darkness swallowed the cell. No sound. No voices, no movement. Raylan sat cross-legged on the cold floor. His hands rested on his knees, but his eyes stayed sharp, alert. He hadn't slept. He didn't trust the silence. Not tonight. Something was coming. Above the arena, hidden in shadows, the Council of Nine met again. Lord Deruvan's pride had been broken. High Commander Ralvox's anger had reached boiling point. He humiliated us, one council member growled. The people now speak his name with admiration, another said. Ralvox stepped forward. Enough. Words have failed. Traps have failed. We must kill him tonight. Another assassin? Deruvan asked bitterly. Ralvox's eyes glowed red. Not an assassin. He raised a hand and 2 guards entered with a figure between them, wrapped in black armor, face covered with a smooth mask, body thin like a blade. This was no ordinary killer. This was Sivakor, a living weapon. A being trained from birth in 900 alien forms of silent death. She never failed. This one doesn't kill with noise, Ralvox said softly. She kills with silence. Meanwhile, deep in the arena tower, Princess Zalira stood by her window. She watched the stars, watched the empty floor below. But her thoughts were somewhere else. They were with the human. Her fingers touched the edge of the glass. Why are you not afraid? She whispered. Behind her, her father's voice echoed in her mind again. If he survives the next trial, he will face you. No excuses. No mercy. Her jaw tightened. She didn't fear the human, but she feared what he might force her to choose. Time passed. Then the lights in Raylan's cell flickered once, twice, then off. Complete blackness. Raylan didn't move, not yet. He heard it. A soft step, then silence. Another step. No breathing, no talking. No metal clicking. They sent someone new. He closed his eyes. Listen. The air shifted. Someone was close. He suddenly rolled sideways, just as a blade sliced through the space he had been sitting in. She was fast. Too fast. Raylan grabbed the food tray from earlier and blocked the next attack. The tray bent in half. He used it to hit her in the head. Metal net mask. No scream, no stumble. She flipped backward like a shadow. Raylan backed away, breathing slowly. You're not like the last one, he muttered. Sci-fi said nothing. She circled him, moving low, blade in hand. Her armor didn't shine. Her footsteps made no sound. She struck again. He dodged, but the blade cut his arm. Not deep, but enough. He grabbed the broken leg of his bed and used it like a stick. She rushed again. This time, he didn't dodge, he ran toward her. It surprised her for just a moment. Enough for him to duck, grab her arm, and slam her into the wall. But she rolled off like liquid shadow, twisted in the air, and landed behind him. She kicked his back. He flew forward, hit the wall hard. His breath escaped his lungs. She came again, silent and deadly. He picked up a piece of glass from the floor and held it ready. She stabbed. He blocked with the glass. It shattered, but the shards went into her armor. She pulled back. Still no sound. No pain. Just precision. Above. The camera feed was watched carefully by the council. R. Ulvak smirked. She's playing with him. Daruvan nodded. She won't kill him quick. She'd tear him apart slowly. Princess Zahara said nothing, but her eyes were full of storm. Back in the cell, blood ran down Raylan's arm. He knew this wasn't a test. This was execution. She wanted him dead, and she was better than anyone he'd fought, but she had one weakness. She didn't see humans as dangerous. She thought like a machine. He started talking. You know, he said, circling her slowly. This is getting boring. No reply. You don't speak? Not even when you bleed? Still silent. Raylan smiled. He was buying time. She moved again, quick and silent. She stabbed toward his chest. He caught her wrist, twisted, and slammed her to the ground. Then he used her own blade, pushed it against her neck. Her mask cracked slightly from the hit. She didn't scream, but her breathing changed, faster. You're not used to someone fighting back, are you? He whispered. She kicked him away. Hard. He hit the wall, but smiled through the pain. She charged again, this time angry. That was her mistake. Raylan spun, caught her mid-jump, and slammed her into the ground with all his weight. Her mask cracked completely. She rolled away. Gasping, Raylan grabbed the sharpest glass piece, crawled toward her, and stopped. He looked at her face. She was not much older than 20 in human years. She looked tired. Her eyes showed fear for the first time. He lowered the glass. You're not a machine, he said softly. You're just a girl who forgot how to choose. She stared at him. Then disappeared in smoke. Alarms blared. Doors opened. Guards rushed in. Raylan stood tall, covered in blood, but alive. Again. One of the guards looked shocked. There was a killer sent for you. What happened? Raylan stared at the camera above. She left. Why? He smiled. Because I gave her something your masters never did. What? A reason to live. Up in the control room, Ralvok smashed the screen. She failed. She never fails. Zalira stood slowly. She didn't fail, she said. She made a choice. Ralvok turned to her. Your turn is next. She nodded. Slowly, calmly. I know. Later that night, a small drone entered Raylan's cell once again. This time, no message, just a live feed. Princess Zalera appeared on the screen. Her voice was soft. You survived again. Raylan chuckled. You sound disappointed. She shook her head. No, I'm afraid. Of me? No, of what happens next. He looked serious now. I heard the council talking, he said. They're sending you next. She nodded. Raylan sat down, his hand on his knee. Will you fight me? He asked. She didn't answer. Instead, she looked away. I don't want to, but if I don't, they'll kill me too. Raylan nodded. Then let's make it fair. What? Do you mean? No traps, no tricks, just you and me. We fight, but only with honor. She smiled sadly. Honor doesn't live here anymore, Raylan. Then we bring it back. The next morning, the entire galaxy watched. Every screen across every star system showed the image of the arena. Crowds had gathered, not just to see it fight, but to see the human. To see the princess. To see what came next. Raylan stood at the center of the arena. No armor, no shield, just a long metal staff. He waited. The gates opened. And Princess Zalera stepped forward. Her armor was light. She carried 2 curved blades. Her silver hair flowed behind her. The crowd went silent. For a moment, the galaxy held its breath. Then the announcer spoke. Human versus royal blood, a final trial of fate. Begin. She moved first fast. Sharp. Raylan blocked the strike with his staff. She came again low, spinning. He stepped back. Barely dodged. Their weapons clashed again and again. But between every strike, they spoke. You could run, she said between blows. So could you, he answered, pushing her back. They'll kill us both, she warned. Then we die free, he said. The battle lasted 5 minutes. Then 10. Then 15. Both were tired. Both were bleeding, but neither backed down. Finally, Zalera stepped back. She dropped her blades. Raylan lowered his staff. Gasps filled the air. Then silence. She turned to the council box. I won't be your puppet, she shouted. Raylan shouted too. Won't be your toy. And then he reached out his hand. Zalera took it. Together, they faced the crowd. A human. An alien princess. Side by side. Not enemies, but something new. The arena guards froze. The council members screamed in anger. Ralvok raised his hand. Kill them both. But no one moved. Not a single guard stepped forward. The arena was quiet. Then a sound came from the back. A cheer. One voice. Then 2. Then hundreds. Then thousands. The crowd roared, not for war, but for hope. Raylan looked at Zalera and smiled. I told you, he said. What? I don't walk alone. The crowd's roar had not died. If anything, it grew louder. The galaxy was watching now. Not just aliens from the caver pit. Not just nobles in golden halls. Not just the Council of 9. Every corner of space buzzed with news. A human had survived 3 trials. And stood side by side with a princess. Inside the arena, Raylan and Zalera walked slowly to the center. The royal box was in chaos. Hi. Commander Ralvok slammed his fist on the armrest. We cannot allow this rebellion. This human and princess will be stopped no matter the cost. The council elders whispered among themselves. Lord Daruvan finally spoke. Then we begin the gauntlet. The trial no one has survived. Ralvok nodded. Let the pit decide their fate. The arena floor rumbled. Walls rose high, revealing a massive maze of deadly traps, spikes that shot from walls, pools of boiling liquid, invisible laser nets, mechanical beasts ready to attack. The gauntlet was designed to crush any hope. To break the strongest will. To kill without mercy. Raylan looked at Zalera. She nodded. No tricks, she whispered. Just survival, he said. They stepped forward. Together. The crowd watched silently. The announcer's voice echoed cold. The Gauntlet of Kings begins now. The first corridor was narrow. The walls closed in slowly. Raylan and Zalera moved fast, but carefully. Sharp spikes sprouted from the floor and walls. They jumped, rolled, and slid under the deadly blades. Zalera was fast. Raylan was steady. Together, they covered each other. They reached a chamber filled with boiling acid. A thin metal bridge crossed the pit. The bridge was old and cracked. Zalera went first. Halfway across, a loud crack echoed. The bridge shook. Raylan grabbed her hand. Careful. They crossed slowly, but a panel on the other side exploded. The bridge began to fall. They jumped off just in time. The next section was dark. No light. Only sounds. Metal clanked. Machines. HUMMED. Suddenly, mechanical beasts appeared, four-legged, with sharp claws and glowing eyes. They charged. Raylan grabbed a broken pipe. Zalera held two knives. They fought. Raylan hit one beast's eye with the pipe. It screamed and crashed into a wall. Zalera sliced another's leg. It limped away. Together, they defeated the beasts. But the gauntlet was not over. They reached a giant room. The floor was a puzzle of tiles, some safe, some deadly. One wrong step would mean instant death. Raylan studied the floor. "Wait," he said. He tested the tiles with a stick. Safe tiles glowed green. Deadly ones glowed red. They moved slowly, stepping only on the green tiles. Halfway across, a tile cracked under Zalera's foot. She almost fell. Raylan grabbed her arm. "Stay with me." They made it across. The final corridor was long and open. At the end, a throne sat empty. A shadow moved in the darkness. The announcer's voice was tense. "Face the final king." Raylan and Zalera stepped forward. From the shadows came a tall figure. He wore black armor with red markings. His eyes burned like fire. His name was King Varan, the deadliest champion of the council. He smiled. "This ends now." The fight began. Varan was fast and strong. His sword cut through the air like lightning. Raylan raised his staff, blocking the blows. Zalera circled, looking for an opening. Varan swung at Zalera. She dodged and stabbed his side. He grunted. Raylan attacked from behind. Varan turned quickly. The battle was fierce. Raylan felt pain in his ribs. Zalera had a deep cut on her arm, but neither stopped. They moved as one. Raylan distracted Varan while Zalera attacked. Finally, Varan stumbled. Raylan took the chance. He pushed Varan against the wall. With one strong strike, he knocked the sword from Varan's hand. The crowd gasped. Varan fell to his knees. He looked at Raylan and Zalera. "You win," he said quietly. The crowd cheered. Raylan and Zalera stood tall. Together. The council was silent. Their greatest champion was defeated. "Hi." Commander Ralvok stepped forward. "This is not over," he warned. "But for now," Lord Darovan said, "they have earned their place." Raylan looked at Zalera. "We survived," she smiled. "But this is just the beginning." The arena doors opened. Raylan and Zalera walked out. The crowd followed with cheers. The galaxy had witnessed something new. The roar of the crowd still echoed in the air, but deep inside the arena, something darker was stirring. The final trial had been declared by the council, one no one had ever faced before. Princess Zalera stepped down from the royal box. Her silver-blue eyes sharper than ever. Her face was calm, but inside, a storm raged. She looked at Raylan, the human who had survived the impossible, the human who had changed everything. She was no longer just a princess. Today, she would be his opponent. The arena floor transformed. Walls rose, and a circle of fire surrounded them. The heat was intense, the air thick. This was the trial of fire, a test of strength, skill, and spirit. The announcer's voice echoed over the loudspeakers. The final trial. Princess Zal-Era versus the human Raylan Cross. Let the fire judge. The worthy. The crowd cheered wildly, but many were silent, sensing the weight of what was to come. Raylan tightened his grip on his staff. He felt the heat on his skin but did not flinch. Zal-Era moved gracefully, her armor gleaming despite the flames. She raised her twin curved blades. Without a word, she charged. The battle began. Zal-Era's strikes were fast and precise-like. Dancing flames, Raylan blocked and dodged. Using his staff to keep distance, they circled each other, fire licking the edges of the arena. Their movements were poetry dangerous. Beautiful, deadly. Suddenly, Zal-Era leaped forward, blades flashing. Raylan barely blocked in time. Their weapons clashed with a spark. She pushed forward, forcing him back. But Raylan held his ground. The princess spoke, voice low but clear. You fight well, human, but this ends now. Raylan smiled slightly. If it ends, with honor. They clashed again. The heat grew stronger. Flames roared higher. Walls closing slowly. Raylan's breath came heavy, sweat pouring. Zal-Era's eyes burned like fire itself. They were equals, neither giving ground. Raylan remembered Earth, the battles. He fought, the people he swore to protect. His heart beat steady. He would not break. Zal-Era felt something strange, a respect for this human unlike any other. He did not fear. He did not hate. He fought with courage and heart. She hesitated. For just a moment. Raylan saw the pause. He attacked quickly, knocking her blades aside. He grabbed her arm gently. Are you afraid? He asked. She stared at him, eyes wide. No, she whispered. But I fear what comes after. Raylan nodded. Then we finish this, not as enemies, but as warriors. Zal-Era lowered her blades. The fire stopped rising. The arena grew quiet. She reached out her hand. Raylan took it. Together they stood. The crowd erupted. Cheers and applause filled the air. The council was silent, their faces unreadable. High Commander. Ralvok's jaw clenched. This changes nothing, he hissed. But Princess Zal-Era stepped forward, voice strong. This changes everything. She looked at Raylan. Together we are stronger. Raylan smiled. We fight for more than survival. Now we fight for freedom. That night, in the royal chambers, Zal-Era spoke with her father. The Venari Emperor was cold and angry. You risk everything for a human, he said. Xal single quotes. Ira stood tall. I risk everything for a new future. The Emperor's eyes narrowed. Then, prepare. The galaxy will not accept this. Raylan sat in a quiet room, tending his wounds. His mind raced. The battles had changed him, but so had the princess. They were no longer just prisoners in a game. They were the start of something new, outside the arena. Whispers spread across the galaxy. Humans are not weak. Zal-Era stands with the human, an alliance or a rebellion. Raylan and Zal-Era met in secret. They planned, they trained, they prepared for the storm coming their way, because the council would never forgive. The next trial was not a test. It was war. And both knew they must be ready. The arena was no longer a place of games. It was a prison. The council had declared the trials over, but the real test was just beginning. Raylan and Princess Zal-Era, prisoners now, marked as enemies of the Empire. The air smelled of metal and fear. Raylan sat in a small, cold cell. The walls were thick. The guards were fierce, but Raylan did not sit quietly. He planned. Far above, the council gathered in fury. The Venari Emperor's voice boomed. They defied us. Together, this cannot be allowed. Ralvok growled. They inspire rebellion. Kill them before they escape. Zal-Era's voice echoed in the room, carried by a hidden device. You cannot control us. Back in the cell, a small drone hovered. It projected a tiny image of Zal-Era. Are you ready? She asked. Raylan nodded. We leave tonight. The guards approached, heavy boots on metal floors. They unlocked the cell. Raylan and Zalira stood. Guards did not expect what came next. Raylan moved fast. He knocked the first guard down with a quick punch. Ira disarmed another with a swift kick. The third guard raised his weapon. But Raylan caught it and broke the barrel. Together, they ran. The corridors were dark and twisting. Raylan led, checking every corner. Zalira covered his back. They moved like shadows. Suddenly, alarms blared. Red lights flashed. The council knew. They were coming. Raylan and Zalira reached a large door. It was locked. Raylan pulled a hidden tool from his boot. He worked quickly. The lock clicked. They slipped through. Outside, the stars shone cold and distant. A small ship waited. Their chance for freedom. But the ship's door was guarded. 2 soldiers stood firm. Raylan and Zalira exchanged looks. There was no time. They attacked. The fight was fierce. Raylan took down one soldier with a heavy blow. Zalira moved like fire, her blades cutting through the second. They reached the ship. Inside, Raylan started the engines. Alarms screamed. The ship shook. They were not alone. Outside, council ships appeared. Fast and deadly, they fired. Raylan piloted through the stars. Zalira manned the weapons. Lasers and explosions filled the void. They dodged and fought. One ship was too close. Raylan fired the ship's missiles. The enemy exploded in fire. But more came. They were surrounded. Zalira looked at Raylan. We can't outrun them. Raylan gritted his teeth. We fight. The battle raged. The small ship was battered. Systems failing. Raylan made a decision. He steered toward a nearby asteroid field. The ships followed, but the asteroids were dangerous. Explosions shook the ship. Zalira shouted, "Hold on!" Raylan navigated with skill. The enemy ships crashed one by one. Finally, the last ship was gone. Silence. The stars were peaceful again. Raylan looked at Zalira. We made it. She smiled, but for how long? They had escaped the arena, but the galaxy was against them. In the distance, a transmission crackled. The Emperor's voice. This rebellion will end, or all will burn. Raylan and Zalira knew the fight was far from over, but they were ready. Together, the stars above were quiet. But Raylan knew peace was a lie. The council's army was coming. Big ships, many soldiers. And they wanted one thing: Raylan dead. Beside him, Princess Zalira looked out the window. Her eyes were cold. Not from fear, but from determination. The small escape ship had landed on a hidden moon. Dark rocks, thin air, no cities, no people. Just silence. Raylan walked outside and looked at the sky. He heard a sound, low, distant. Engines. They were close. Inside the ship, Zalira connected a comlink. She sent one last signal. It went across the stars, to Earth. Raylan is alive. He needs help. We are fighting not just for ourselves, but for freedom. Back on Earth, the message arrived. General Carter watched the screen. His jaw tightened. He turned to his officers. "Get me Titan X," he said, "and wake the Blackfire Squad." Meanwhile, on the moon, Raylan and Zalira prepared for war. They had old weapons, half a shield, and a broken scanner. Still, they stood ready. Suddenly, the ground shook. Above, ships appeared. Dark and huge. The council had arrived. Soldiers dropped to the ground. Dozens. Then hundreds. Zalira drew her sword. Raylan picked up his blaster. "We fight to the end," he said. The first wave came. Alien troops rushed forward. Raylan fired. 3 soldiers fell. Zalira moved like fire, spinning and slicing. Blood splashed the rocks, but there were too many. Raylan was hit in the arm. He fell behind a rock. "Keep moving," Zalira shouted. She fought like a storm, but her blade broke. A soldier grabbed her. Raylan saw it happen. He stood, bleeding. Angry, he ran forward. slammed into the alien, punched, again, until the helmet cracked. Solera was free, but the sky grew darker. A new ship appeared, bigger than the rest. Alvok stepped out. The warlord smiled. So this is the human who stole our princess. Raylan stepped forward. I didn't steal her, she chose. Ralvok laughed. Then you both die. He raised his sword. 10 feet long, covered in fire. The ground shook again. A new sound, not council engines. Earth ships. The sky opened. Titan X dropped from orbit, its metal body glowing. 50 feet tall, behind it, the Blackfire squad landed. 12 elite humans in black armor. Each one a legend. The battle exploded. Earth soldiers fired plasma guns. Titan X smashed enemy tanks. Vok screamed, kill them all. Raylan stood beside Titan X. He smiled. Now it's fair. Ralvok charged. Titan X blocked him. Their weapons clashed. Fire and sparks. Raylan ran into the chaos. He found Zalira again. She held a new weapon, a council staff, glowing blue. They fought side by side. Together, the council army was strong. But Earth's forces were stronger, faster, smarter, angrier. The Blackfire squad moved like ghosts. Every shot hit. Every strike killed. Alien bodies covered the rocks. Alvok roared. He was losing. He turned to flee. But Titan X grabbed him, lifted him into the air. You hunted a human, the robot said. Now face Earth's justice. It crushed Ralvok's sword, then threw him into a mountain. The rest of the council forces ran. They dropped their weapons. The battle was over. Raylan fell to his knees. Solera caught him. You did it, she whispered. He smiled. We did it. General Carter stepped down from his ship. He looked at Raylan. You picked a strange place to find love, he joked. Raylan laughed weakly. She's worth it, Zalira smiled. So is he. Days later, back on Earth. A celebration. Raylan and Zalira stood before the crowd. Not as prisoners, not as rebels, but as heroes. People cheered. Aliens and humans together. Peace had a new face, and it looked human. Later that night, under the stars, Raylan and Zalira walked alone. She held his hand. He looked at her. I walked into a room full of aliens, he said, and walked out. With a bride. She kissed him, and somewhere in the galaxy, a new story began.